Going live right now with you. It's your boy. I'm back. Saturday. Oh, sorry, Sunday. Sunday afternoon. I work Saturday. And man, I'll tell you where the time goes. It's Sunday already. Wait to see if some people show up in here. But eating healthy, a snack. So my daughter, my baby girl, just turned 22. Got my shades. Yeah. Do me a favor, hit the like button on the way in here. Let me know where you're watching me from. Let's get into the discussion. Home prices. Home prices. Um, just I'm looking around, checking out some of these prices online and trying to find an area because the current area where I live in is becoming very, very overcrowded. Um, it's just all different kinds of people that are just kind of migrating and moving, you know, in this area. And that's been happening for some years. When I first moved into the area, I don't want to say that I was one of the early people moving into this area, or well, it's newly developed because a lot of these complexes and these cul-de-sacs and these properties that they're building, they're really been built within the last 4 or 5 years. Hello, sir. Aaron, how you doing? Appreciate you guys coming in. But like I was saying, I'm checking out these home prices and stuff. And I know in this area it's very expensive. Um, Rasta. So this area is a little expensive to live in, to buy a home in. So I was just checking out some home prices online, and it's funny to think that a lot of these properties are, and I'll show you some in a second. I'm gonna flash over here. You can still find something affordable. It depends on what you're looking for, of course. How many rooms, how much land, and this is in North Carolina. But when you start seeing stuff that's going, for this is $27,000, 2 bedroom and 1 bathroom, 625 square feet on a 3,049 square foot lot. Um, it's a, this is it's a stick build. So, no, this looks like this is like a modular, like a, yeah, like a modular home. But I still see some prices that are uh, moderately priced, I would say, because they did have this whole bubble, real estate bubble, and sure, I mean, yeah, you can get dreads. So just to stay on topic, but I'll answer your questions. I can do both. Um, these homes are moderately priced depending on what you're looking for. And I know it's kind of tough to qualify to get qualified for a home these days because They almost want you to have the A1 credit. And but those mortgages are pretty much geared toward people that have, you know, 750, 800 credit scores. You still want to have at least a 650 or above to kind of, get a decent loan approval. And um, if you go out and say, well, I don't want to be house poor because now, I bought a house that is, it costs me more to be able to keep the mortgage paid. And so now, I'm actually working just to pay that. And so the house gets all the money goes to the house, and nothing, in my pocket, my savings, or, vacations, family events and stuff like that. Um, you typically wind up losing things that you probably, might be trying to hold on to because you got the house payment plus you got all these other payments. So now you're basically kind of like house poor. That's where that term kind of comes from, because you own a house, but you're just basically not able to afford all the other extras. And so, making ends meet and stuff like that. Well, you got to pay that mortgage first. So these homes are pretty cheap, and of course, I know there's not a big down payment on these because, like I said before, most most of the traditional mortgages that are 30% down, you usually look got um, the buyer is usually somebody that has the the 750 credit score, or so they can still try to get 7 or 8% or something like that on the mortgage, but those rates are still high, and then those houses are inflated even more. So if you're looking to go buy, you know, just kind of don't put the buggy before the horse. You know what I'm saying? Or you'll wind up house poor. And you can still pay back them something like this, especially if it's your first time buying. You can still pay back something like a $50,000 3 bedroom, one bath. But as I look at these houses, I'm starting to notice that, and these are for typical people that working people could afford this, a 50,000. I'm sure you can go out and get a car, a loan for a car for more than 50 grand, or at least up to 50,000 by the time you're paying for it. But this $50,000 for a house, I mean, your down payment can't be can't be too much. It's not going to be that much. And then there's a lot of, I don't know what programs will these houses will get qualified for, or because I've reached out to a lender. I mean, I'm sorry, I've already moved past that, working with the lenders. Okay. I'm just letting this do what it do. I haven't got here since the pandemic. That's when this all started. Because I couldn't go nowhere, and I just moved down here, so I didn't know where to go to get a cut. So I got trimmers every once in a while. I trim and stuff, but I let all this stuff just grow. Right now, it's that season for me. But so getting approved for something, like these homes here and stuff, it shouldn't be too much of a hurdle. But one thing that I've noticed and I've found out is that a lot of times when you see something up here and it's posted at a very, very, a very moderately priced house that may have, may even come with some land or something like that, and it's moderately priced, and then you could bet that it's probably going to be under contract before before you could kind of blink. You guys in the comments are something else, I'm telling you. So, but all right. So I'm gonna show you guys something, and I don't know where you guys are from, but these prices are pretty moderate for anyone that might be looking. You can use realtor.com and just put in your area, and it should be able to populate something that, like I said, these houses are, they may need a little bit of work done to them because here's one thing here, right? I've done property management before, and the list of properties that I would have to go and, because they were bank owned properties, the list of properties that I would have to go to routinely, reoccurring visits, for lawn maintenance, wintertime, just, check to make sure that there was no, the gutters weren't falling off, the ice and stuff wasn't building up on the, on the property because, of course, fall, then winter, and then all the leaves will fall and they'll fall into the gutters. It doesn't drain properly. Winter comes, it's all frozen, it gets heavy and it pulls away from the house. So then you have that issue. And there's a lot of what happens is the outside, of the property becomes a major issue. And then, of course, you don't want to treat. So you're going to have to prune trees and stuff like that. And these properties they're not dilapidated, but they're not occupied, but they can become dilapidated. And so maintaining these properties and stuff is it's a big thing to do. So these assets have to be maintained so that they can be, sold and put on the market. And I noticed that a lot of these properties, they have been maintained. There's been work. I don't know if it's a work order that was, approved just to further the rehab process for some of these properties, because of course they're owned by either the bank or a homeowner, or somebody had this house and they were trying to maintain it at some point, or it was an investor that got in maybe over their head, and they never completed the project. And so maybe the banks cut off funds. The contract is not moving forward, and you're under contract. Some of these things are under contract, or pending contracts, or is offers being made. These are not houses that are for auction; they're for sale at these prices. And so you can get into a lot of work that you have to do, and of course you got to have. And some of these properties, I've noticed that, I know they had to have a team in there. It wasn't no one guy going in. It wasn't a husband and wife went in to some of these places and said, well, we're going to buy this house and fix it up. And man, you can see there's a lot of material that was left on site. So that brings me to this question. Was this house an asset that are some of these houses bank owned properties, and by them being there, a part of the bank's assets or on their balance sheets, they have to keep the properties, in a, up to code, and at least, as far as per the town or city ordinances and stuff like that. So, you just can't have something that just, is if there's water or if there's electric, there's just a lot of issues. Let's just say that. There could be a number of things that can happen to these properties as they just sit. Well, if you're looking for a home and you're looking to get a property that has some, handyman type of, required, it needs that attention. This is a good place to find them. But again, I'm just saying, I have a bunch of questions because, all right, we know that once the asset or once the property is fully rehabbed, the value is going to increase. So you can, whatever loan you're probably going to be able to borrow against more money after a while because you got, certain amount invested into it. You put together, you put a house back together that could be, it's livable, and you can market and sell it for, the going price now, not what you're getting it for. In this house, you're getting some of these houses for very cheap because there is um, that whole thing is still contingent, in the contract that, I guess what you finish the project. Because some of these projects don't look like these houses don't look like they were abandoned. It looked like some of them, because I said there's materials that are still left on site. It looked like somebody ran out of money. And that could be the case because you open up a can of worms once you get these type of properties. So you don't want to go too big. You want to get something that's not too big. And hopefully you don't have too big of an issue. Like here's one for $100,000. 4 bedroom, 1 bath, 1,600 square feet. 1,600 square feet is a pretty nice amount of square footage. Of course, they have 4 bedrooms, so it's a nice amount of square footage for $100,000. And the minute I said $100,000, it looked like a whole bunch of people that were here. They just left. Like that's way out of our price range. And now it looks like there's more people jump back in. Maybe that's YouTube doing that. But I thought I lost the audience as soon as I got 100K. It looks like you guys are back. So look, I'll show you this house, and we'll click through some of the pictures. That's 100 guys. 4 bedrooms. Nice size house. Nice size house. I didn't see what. So you got old appliances, old the flooring. I mean, this place looks like you can move in there. Somebody might be living in here. This is one of those houses that probably is occupied currently, or maybe, people are just now, it could be something that's in a court thing or was tied up in court, like a probate court thing. You never know. You run into so many different scenarios with these properties. And some of them are, they'll make out good once the house is. Oh yeah, okay. So there are some wheelchairs in the front. There's a walker. So, and you know what? 2 stories. Very possible. I don't know what happened to the owners, but it's 2 stories. And if you got a walker and wheelchair, I don't even see a handicap ramp here anywhere. Nope. So that kind of tells you, who's living there, and maybe you can, kind of imagine like what, what's that, how this house winds up for sale. And again, it's listed at $100,000. It doesn't look like it has much of any problem going on internally. The bones look very good. The siding, the roof, the deck and the porch and all of that stuff. It looks good. It's just all this stuff needs to be updated. And I'm sure you're gonna have a nice piece of a nice investment property or whatever if you want to live there, rent it out, or just flip it and sell it. I don't know. This is in. This is okay. This is. It's in Mocksville, North Carolina. I don't know where Mocksville is. Mocksville is. Let me get on the map. Looks like it's in a populated area too. The house is on the. It's not out nowhere too like a rural type of wooded area or anything. So it's not far from. You're north of Charlotte. Yeah, you're north of Charlotte, just outside of Lexington, North Carolina. in between Lexington and Statesville, but you're a little off of, you're close by Highway 601 before you get to Salisbury. You got 40. Yeah, I'll let you see. Okay. There's an area right here, Charlotte to the south, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, Lexington here. All right. There you go. Zoom in a little more. 501. Moxville is here, but this is where the property is located. 100,000. Spencer. Okay, I know where all this is. There's a truck stop. This is off 85. Yeah. There's a nice truck stop coming up through there. I forgot what the name of it is. What is the name of that spot? You guys know what it is. You drive up down 85. Forget the name of that. They got good. I forgot. I forget the name of that spot. Dang. Richie's? Nope. There's an auction too, a truck auction near there. I stop there all the time. Love that place. Honestly, I love it. They got good food. But, you know, it's just like I said, man, you know, looking for a piece of land or a piece of property, you can find some stuff for cheap and you don't have to, you know. So yeah, you don't gotta really go, you know, go too crazy unless, you know, of course you got those, you know, you got those credentials, you got that money, you got it. You can go ahead and get what you want, or you can build your own. I spend my Sunday trying to do some research to bring you some information on what might be, you know, of interest to you guys. Everybody deserves a home. You know, the rent is too much these days. I'm sure. Ever since I moved to North Carolina, I've been renting. It's still much cheaper than what I was paying when I lived up north, by far. However, I can't continue to keep doing that. But recently, the price of everything just inflated so much. It just, you know, it's like a bubble, a real estate bubble. Now it looks like the bubble's burst. There's all these properties that seem to be on the market now, where before it was no inventory, or the only inventory that was out there was these inflated prices for all these homes that are cookie cutters. Like, you know, you move into a neighborhood where there's just the same, everything looks the same, and the HOA fees are just out of this world, and they're charging you because your grass is not cut to 2 inches. It looks like they built it overnight. You know, a lot of these places, they're just slapping them together, and people are going and paying $300,000 for them. I'm like, just because you got approved for the loan or for the mortgage, then they jump into them. I guess now the home prices are just, you know, they're not as expensive. They're not asking for as much as some of these people pay for these houses, and they still got these daggone mortgages that they got to pay. Meanwhile, the house is depreciating, and they can't sell it to nobody because nobody ain't got the down payment money, or they can't get approval, but they got the good credit score. They won't. The bank don't want to lend that much money out. The banks don't even want to lend no money out. Well, that's not so much necessarily true, because you can go out and get a business loan. And some banks that give you that money, startups, and a couple $100,000, you can get it. You know, as long as you pay them back. So I call a realtor. I say, hey man, I sent the email, said I was interested in something. I wanted to, kind of start picking their brain and ask them some questions, just see what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing I do know is they be welling, man. A lot of this stuff is bots putting a lot of this out here. You know what I'm saying? Use AI automated into automated intelligence, artificial intelligence, right? To give these false hope of home ownership to people while marketing, you know, properties that are not even listed, that are not even, it's not on the list nowhere. So how you coming up with this price? That price to me, and even the realtor told me, he says, he looked up the house. I told him, I said, that house should be going for this much. I said, well, it's nice. It's up here, it's listed at this. And he says, well, unfortunately, let me go look it up. You went and looked it up? You come back and said, well, unfortunately, it's under contract. I said, it's under contract? Okay. Well, there's a whole list of these things. I mean, he's began to ask me what area. I told him I'm looking at the numbers. I really didn't care too much about the area. Or are you an investor or do you want to live there? Are you paying cash or are you getting financed? I told him I'm already pre-qualified, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not an investor. I'm just, you know, thinking about buying this for myself and I can live in it. Maybe I can even buy it for my daughter. She can live in it. Or, we could fix it up or something, or just want to find out and see what these people are talking about, because a lot of people do want to own their own home. And they don't want to pay rent, and these are the prices that people typically, a regular working family and with two houses, with two incomes, with because I talked to my neighbor, and they're from New Jersey, and they're like, we're looking to have our house built because we've been looking for a home, and it's just too, it's not worth it. And we was having that whole discussion. Because I'm fortunate. I don't have to work full time, and my wife works and stuff. So we have two incomes, and then our kids help us out. I'm like, man, that sounds like something that I should be able to say. Like, yeah, we're two working, adults, and we have grown kids that help us out, but I should probably be hit over the head right now because they do help out. I'm over here not giving them any credit, but this is what I'm talking about. Help out, help out, So, but so my neighbor was saying, that they're looking to build. They're looking to build. They bought some land, and the land you can actually get for cheap too, because up here there's a lot of land that then you can kind of, you can kind of go whatever direction you want once you purchase the land. And then that's the thing. So I haven't called one of these. I have not called and spoke with any of the agents, because I've sent email to one agent, and I'll tell you, when he got back to me, he says, "Are you looking? Are you looking to pay cash, or?" And he said, "Well, that house should be listed for," and he had another 100 grand. He had another 100,000. Right. So I'm like, well, that's not what it's saying. Then he says, well, unfortunately, it is it's under contract. So I said, okay. So yeah, you can run into that, because some of these realtors might, once they pull it up, say, oh, how did I miss that one? And then push a button. Next, they got their friends trying to buy and fix it up, and they want to go get it because they're investors, and they got their people they already getting funded from, or whatever the case may be. So if you were trying to get it, you're out of there. They just step right over you and go and just, hey man, it's under contract, man. Yeah, nah. But I'll send you a listing of some other properties. So maybe that might be something you're interested in over there. Then you see stuff that's like three and $400,000. Look at it, like this idiot. You know, you probably better going down to the courthouse steps and go bid against somebody like him who probably will be there. You know, because if you go to call him and say, "Hey, I seen something that's on here," and I'm just inquiring about the property, then he finally go look at it and say, "Ooh, that do look like a deal." What do you think's gonna happen? Now he just made the agent like he made it almost as if next time you talk to him like, yeah, you got to keep looking at that's going, that's somebody's already. And I've experienced that too because there was a property that was close to where I live now, and and I said this area is becoming more and more and more and more crowded and stuff, and then you still build more traffic and more people. Of course, that brings a lot of other things. And I'm at a point. I'm like, man, listen, man, it's. I knew I was saying that I wanted to get out of this area. At first, it was really nice, but now after 3 or so years, and it didn't really take that long, I'm starting to get really like fed up with, uh, the area. Let's just say that, right? I don't know these people. I don't know none of them where they coming from, but they come from everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So now we're just looking to get out of here, and it's just I didn't know it becomes such a process, which it is a process, but I didn't know it would become this type of process. But these type of things happen. That the agent that and then everybody, all these listing agents or whoever, they want you to sign a contract with them. You have to sign a contract before they can actually show you that property. You got to sign a contract with them, right? And it's just crazy because it's not like the lender gave me this guy's number. You know, you go, you get, a mortgage approval first, and you get pre-qualified and stuff to go ahead and start looking for, a place that's within how much they're gonna, they approved you for. And so and then from there you go to, well, here's a list. Here's an agent that I know, and your agent is actually working with us, the lender. So right, that incentivizes the agent to get you a property of your choice because he's got his friend getting the money, and there's going to be definitely a contract that you guys have to always sign anyway. Just moving things along before the deal is done. So boom, there's there's no reason for just a random realtor to want to work with me on a property, you know, when they can always try to go against the grain and put in a bid for it or something. Um, I I don't know that. Well, do you have a mortgage company you're already dealing with, or I can get you somebody that I already got approval. I don't need your people to give me no money. And so that's when it got funny over there. It seems like, you see what I'm saying. So, um, but again, like I said, man, it's not no big numbers on this property. It's not like it's like 300, $400,000 or something like that. But I say it's the real reason that that realtor responded to me out of a necessity to close the deal that his lender approved me or pre-qualified me at a certain amount. So when he gets a call from me, he's feeling obligated to, yeah, let me get you in there. We look at it, and if that's good, we put the offer in, and I'll draw up all the papers. So this other guy just basically, once I told him about the property, he went and looked at it and then comes back and tells me what he thinks it's worth. And then, I said, oh, well, that's not what it's listed as. And he says, oh, by the way, it's already under contract. I said, what? So I don't know. Maybe him and his buddies said, "Man, man, I'm going in there and trying to get this one because it looked like that's a nice piece of property. It was a couple acres of land, and you know, a little more than I think almost close to 2 acres of land, and a nice rural area." I told I said, you know, if it's outside of the metropolis, like not in the heart of the city or anything of that nature, close to hospital, close to highway, something that's going to, suit my needs because, I do need a few acres. All right, I'll send you some stuff. Now, if you send me anything that's over a certain amount of money, I'm gonna just block them after that. Look, you can't send me no more emails because I already told you what time it was with me with the spending and approval. And now, if you're trying to pitch something else, like, come on, I don't know. So that's it, man. I mean, I guess I'll keep on looking. But you guys, man, I hope you have a great Sunday, man. And let me know what you think. And again, this is the Saturday Mornings Realtor.com. If you want to stay, if you want to roll up your sleeves and you stay within, like a 1 and 1.5 bathroom. Some people want 2 and 3 bathrooms. But if you want to stay, because I look at these houses and I'm like, do I want to have a first and a second floor? Or would I rather have an acre to an acre and a half with a 1.5 bath with 3 bedrooms and stuff like that? It really has to do with how much land you're gonna get. For me, than the square footage size, because I know that there's, Charles put an addition, add some livable space, especially if you have a garage that's attached to the house or over top of that garage or something like that, man. There's endless possibilities. It's almost like, hey, man, I got the land, I could do what I want to do. Well, once you got the property, if you need to step it up a little bit on the square footage, or knock down a wall, or create, more open floor plan. If you want to take and turn a half a bath into a full bath and stuff, some of that is it's all optional. And you get them, and you can get them for like 70 grand, $70,000. It just depends where you want to live. Thomasville, North Carolina, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, 83,956 square feet. Thomasville, that's over by Charlotte. Let me look on the map here. That's not a bad, it's a small house. And this is move right in. There's nothing wrong with this house. This house, you know what? This house, everything is maintained here. Back the yard, there's people's stuff in there. So someone was living in this house, probably got old, and you know what? And it's a shame, but that happens. And 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 83,000. I mean, I can let you see it. I mean, Thomasville, Lexington. That's close to Charlotte. But see, this area now, if you look on the map here, I'm gonna show you. Look at this map, the comparables. You got 200. This is a new development. $250,000 homes over here, going up to 240, 250. This is the house, and then in the area you have is a 280,000, or 150 is a $205,000 house, right on the same block. Right on the same block. All right. And 240 blah blah. Zoom out. This Thomasville. This is not far from Charlotte, North Carolina. Between Lexington, it's Thomasville. It's Thomasville. 85 should be very close by. Zoom out a little bit. Interstate 85, right there it is. See? Lexington and Charlotte to south. A little further south, you're gonna go and you run right into Charlotte right over here. Okay? Charlotte, North Carolina to the south. So, and that's the house. $83,000. $83,000. I'll show you some more pictures. Somebody's living there. Well, I think that no, they may be, you know, nice little house for somebody. Nice little house. I don't like areas with like I got a nice shed in the backyard and everything. I mean, it's probably a nice area. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't know. And this house has a lot of potential. Let's just put it that way. It looked like maybe they did some work um, on it, but that ain't bad for $83,000. I'm looking for one more, and then we're gonna end the video. I'm gonna end live. But I do appreciate you guys who stopped in on this live with me. Do me a favor. I need some subscribers, y'all. I need some subscribers, man. It's starting to happen a little bit slowly, but you know, I just try to put that out there. Like if you're not subscribed to the channel, just go ahead and subscribe. I feel like, what are you waiting for? I'm waiting for you to subscribe. That's what I'm doing over here. I'm waiting for you to subscribe. Once you subscribe, then you'll get notification. Just make sure you hit the notification bell so that when I put a video out, then you'll be able to see it. But most of you guys, you know, be safe out there, and you know, let me know what you think. I'm trying to find something that somebody might be interested in. Oh, Troy, North Carolina. I'm working in Troy. I'm gonna tell you something about that town. I ain't moving out. Somebody else is moving. I ain't moving. I'm all set. I just go out there, do what I'm doing. We actually doing a project out there. It's a nice area. Don't get me wrong. Troy is not a bad for some people, for the right person. You know, I ain't moving out there, but they got a nice house for $99,000, 2 bedroom, 1 bath. It's 1,123 square feet, and it's on a very small lot, 0.28 acres. Click on here and see. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Oh, they only got 3 pictures, so it ain't really worth showing you. It's a nice house, though. It's nice. Not for me. Not at all. Not in that town. No way. Like I said, we up there doing their highway, their roads and stuff up there right now. Very beautiful up there, but that's one of them towns that's, you know what I'm saying, in between, you know, like a safe haven town, another safe haven town, and then you go in between and you get in this place and it's like you lose reception, you know what I'm saying? You know, nah, I'm good. You gotta have reception out there. Some of these places, I guess you gotta pay for real strong Wi-Fi. Look, I need more than that. And I do want to be in a rural area, but that's not a town that I will move into, me personally. No, maybe you, not me. I don't know what you guys think about High Point, but High Point, North Carolina has a lot of very moderately priced homes that have some real character. You know what I'm saying? Um, I I've been out there. I know it's really crowded over there. Like it's like a town where most of the houses are they're if you ask me, I would use the term they're on top of each other. So like it's a good majority of that city we would call a city when they're that close together. You're not in a rural town or whatever. You're in a city. So High Point, it has a lot of industry and it has a lot of people, a lot of jobs, and you know a lot of residents in that town. I can't say town, but it's a city. You're not in a rural setting. Um, and what the South has now become, it it's these towns that are populated like cities, and a lot of the houses and the housing, the new developments, the new communities, they're all on top of each other. And that population count is just like it grows and grows and grows. So you go from being a town to a city like that. And it's almost like, okay, this is becoming a metropolis because the amount of traffic that's in these areas, it far exceeds what it should be for a town. You know, everybody's got cars. You got two a household where two adults live, and then they have teenagers or young adults. The young adults got cars too. So there's homes, small homes, and they're not big homes. Not, and I say 700, 830 or 840 square feet. These are small homes, and outside of these small homes that are only a couple hundred square feet, not even 1,000 square feet. Like you see, like 5 cars, 6 cars parked. So, and then these houses are right on top of each other. Like there's the whole neighborhood of people. Like that's a lot of traffic. That's a lot of traffic. And where are people to go if they're moving away from home, or if they're staying at home because this could be the house that they grew up in, and now they're just teenagers. Like my kids, I'm not an empty nester. I have 4 kids, and they're all 20 and older. Like so, two of them they are on their own and out, and then there are two of them that still are at home, and they have cars. You know, so I move somewhere, and then they move in. There's going to need to be parking for all four, and if not, and then I have some other vehicles. So there'll be a bunch of vehicles parked outside. The neighbors might not like that. The neighbors might have a problem with that. But guess what? There ain't nothing you can do about it, right? That's why I'd rather be in a rural area than in like where houses are on top of each other. Because I just remember back up north in the wintertime, and this is how people are, right? You shovel out your car and you throw the shovel over, you shovel the snow over. Now I gotta do double work to shovel it off mine, or from over on or around mine, to shovel it. You used to shovel it into the street, and then people ride over, and then it turn into slush. But you had some people, they didn't do that. They would just shovel it and throw it either on the sidewalk where people got to walk at. And if we did shovel the sidewalk, to be able to shovel, your pathway to go take your trash out or go to the mailbox. Then you got the other guy, he's shoveling right back into the path that you might have shoveled out. And that's what happens when the houses are right on top of each other and people got their vehicles and stuff. And then the winter comes around, because then you're gonna have people that are just gonna have these, they in their feelings, and they get confrontational and stuff because you shoveling the snow or after he shoveled his car out. And I've seen that turn ugly. So I'd rather be in a rural setting, you know. I don't want to have other people's cars parked in proximity of where I'm parking my car where I live at. Because for those reasons and a number of other reasons, just to even one of the biggest things too you experience if you live in a complex, unless you have assigned parking that says apartment 4-2 or 4B, you know, your parking spot. If you're accustomed to parking somewhere all the time or same spot, people are regiment, they do the same thing every day. They park in the same spot every day. But if it's not parked, if there's not an assigned parking, a person can, you know, if you happen to park there, like, what are you doing parking in my spot? Like, and this is stuff that we go through. People we put one another through just because we're all living too close into close proximity to one another, and then that can just become a little bit more than you know what person would want to be having to go deal with today. Today's not the day. All right, you know, look, today ain't the day, man. You see what I'm saying? Miss me with that. Is you know, tomorrow, not right now. I don't want to talk, or you know, people get that way. You know, I've seen a lot of stuff happen. So you got to think about that too when you're looking for these places. Because a lot of these homes, here's one for $31,000. It's a 1 bedroom, very small, but it's for somebody, right? It's for somebody. $31,000. Look, there you go. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 31,000. You know. Small home, but it's a cute little house for somebody. That will work for my daughter. That will work for my daughter. But you see, she's gonna have neighbors. Right there's people. You know? And man, let me tell you. Sometimes when you gotta deal like people just cut their grass, and then you got trees. It's just a lot. It's a lot. It can be a lot. But I want to get to the part where you can find them. You can pick up and call the agent or send an email in. And then you can set up to go take a look at the place. And then see if whether or not you want to put an offer in. Because that's the next question they're going to ask you. How much can you afford? Have you been pre-qualified? You want me to draw up some papers and make an offer? Because once they bring you there to go look at it, and you get inside and you take a look at it, they're going to ask you the question. So, have you already gotten approval? This house is listed at this much. Are you can you, are you financially ready to do this? Should we put an offer in? Want me to draw up the papers? Right? And if you say, I don't know, I gotta go see, or they're gonna feel like they wasted time coming out here showing you this place. Or that you're not gonna get right back to say, yeah, I just got that letter. Let's make an offer. You know. So we just shopping around. That's all we doing, man. But y'all, do me a favor. I'm about to end this up about an hour. I'm gonna end it at the top of the hour. Any questions? Any concerns? The next 5 minutes is yours, and we will go from there, man. Because I'm gonna end the video. Keep it at exactly 1 hour. So it's 54 minutes and 36 seconds right now. Still looking. Any questions, you guys? Go ahead. 120,000 North Wilkesboro. 3 bedroom, 1 bath. It's not bad. It's nice. These houses need a handyman. Panel, take that panel off. Of course, trim those bushes in the front. The landscape. Once you change that landscape and bring the outside, get it to pop. Get a power washer and maybe clean some of the, you know what I'm saying, the surfaces, the outside of the place or whatever. Just power wash it down. Hopefully the windows are still. That's not bad. I could walk around a property and easily tell you whether or not, you know what I'm saying, it's a good investment or you're going to start having to put money into it from day one. But if we get inside, some places you can live in there and do the work. Some places you can live in there and do the work. You can occupy the place. It's got running water. You can get the lights turned on, the heat if you need that. I got a lot of comments up here. Wow, there's a bunch of comments. I can't even see all of this stuff. I'm sorry, guys. Captain Leach. Hey, what's up, man? Okay. Orca June says buying a moderately priced home was the best decision I ever made. Investing a ton every month. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's because if you get the house moderately priced, you're not paying arm and leg. You don't have a huge mortgage. And like this gentleman said, he dumps money into it every month. That's what you need. That's the way to make sure that you get the bang for your buck when you buy these houses. Because I'd rather do that than have the stress of being house poor, having a big mortgage, but you know what I'm saying, like there's nothing else that I'm able to do with my, I can't afford to do, I can't afford to enjoy living here because I'm always struggling to maintain, the note. And so I can't have a cookout. I can't have events. I can't do nothing extra because that takes money, and I don't have the money to do that. I have to make sure that I'm making the payments on the house. I don't want to lose it, or I can't do no upgrades right now. So it makes it so much easier to not just do your upgrades, because if you want, hey man, listen, I'm gonna put new flooring in this month. I got the tile or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do a warrior weekend. Maybe one of the guys come over and we rip the floor up, or I already ripped the floor up. Me and my son. I just need help to bring and take it to the dump. So the boys are coming over, gonna help out, or maybe you got somebody at the church, some volunteers from the church. You can get some guys together to come over and help out and do some work to help you, and help the community and stuff, or so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like the church. It's the vibe. It's the whole thing. And then you can do that. I hate this chair. Oh, here it is. I'm gonna get me another chair. And it's just like one of the things, man. I mean, if you get the house for a fraction of, I got a homeboy, my boy T, my brother, my man. This kid done. In fact, I'm gonna get. I'm gonna feature, because I'm gonna try to feature some more stuff like this. I gotta keep up with these comments. Yeah, and do some, give you gangster vibes. I don't know who give you gangster vibes. Who giving the gangster vibes? What up, though? Captain Lad. Or It's Orca Jr. And he's one of my subscribers. So shout out to him. What else? Oh, that's the other dude had the crazy accident or whatever. Some crazy people in the comments, I'm telling you. Yo, that's it, man. We went over the hour mark, man. So, like I said, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna leave this up, so I'll make it public. And thanks again for your comments. Thanks again for stopping in and joining in on the discussion. And we'll check you guys out in the next one. Peace out.